And today we are going to talk about something interesting: how to build conceptual models in seconds with using ChatGPT. Conceptual models in sciences, most especially in geoscience, they are like schematic diagrams or representation of your work or your theory or your model that you are proposing. Maybe in social sciences, you can think of them as being blueprint or your strategy map. But by and large, everyone can think about them as being infographics, which summarizes what you try to tell people with your paper or with your work. So we can use ChatGPT and quite a number of tools also to build conceptual models or to make schematic representations. So today we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to show you some of the techniques that I use. And like I always say, it's a co-pilot, right? It is not an autopilot. So they are supposed to guide you into how you are going to draw these figures eventually, because we always struggle, we always get a block when we're trying to do that. So with the help of these tools, you can think around the figures they produced for you. You can edit them using Canva or some other kind of desktop editing tools. So like we usually do, we're going to follow three steps. Just three steps. And you can start by pasting your research question, aim or objective into ChatGPT if you haven't written the paper at all. But in this case, you have written the paper, right? So you need to make a list of what the theory is all about or what this picture is all about. And then when you do that, you can now prompt it to create a conceptual model for this study. And then when it produces that, you can review it over and over again. You can even ask it to define some of the variables, like labeling them, and also putting some extra things like arrows, like putting scales and so on and so forth. So the first step is for you to paste your research question if you don't have any, the aims or objective of your study into ChatGPT, and then list out what you think your conceptual model is and ask it to draw one for you. And then you can now fine tune whatever that has been drawn into what you really want. But the idea is for you to get a picture of what your conceptual model should look like, and then you can redraw them using Adobe Illustrator, CorelDRAW, and so on and so forth. So let's head down straight to ChatGPT. And today I'm going to use one of my texts that I already have from a previous publication. So I'll copy it and I'll paste it here so that you can see. So this is about how mega clasts, how they are emplaced in submarine landslides, their evolution, right? So I'm going to first paste this and say list out the processes documented in this theory, and then it's going to do a list of that for me. Slow emplacement of mega class, which are very big blocks, short transport distance, no visible sliding traces, no internal structures, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it has even done a summary, right? And then based on the summary, I can ask it to build a conceptual model. So I'm just going to use a text that I already have and rewrite the same processes again, and I will use some prompts that you can also copy and use by yourself. So I'll use this prompt. You delete this off, and I say create a detailed scientific, remember this word, scientific conceptual model diagram, Ctrl Z, conceptual model diagram showing the emplacement and post-depositional evolution of mega class within a mass transport complex, which is a submarine landslide. The diagram should include the following annotated stages and features. And I've done that, 1, 2, so I can even put the numbers because there are no numbers here. 1, and I say internal deformation is number 2, and then overboarding and compaction effect is number 3. And then those are just descriptions of all of those methods. And then now you have to use this tone. Use a clear academic cross-sectional style, which is more or less like two-dimensional, similar to those found in a journal like sedimentology or marine geology journals. Include subtle text to differentiate materials like firm megaclast, soft debris matrix, and fine-grained hemipelagic sediments. And then add arrows and labels for key processes. Color scheme should be subdued and professional. And then I hit the enter key. Remember, clear academic cross-sectional style. And you allow it to build it over under 1 or 2 minutes, maximum 2 minutes, depending on the kind of access or subscription that you have. And it's going to build that into a PNG file, which will describe all the methods listed out. And usually it's going to start with the header, so it's going to put a heading for it, which I think will be something like a emplacement of mega class within a mass transport deposit. So it's loading that. So while it is loading, we can also use this, apart from using it to build conceptual models, we can also use it to build what we call workflow diagrams, or what we call graphical abstracts. So some journals, when you submit to them, they will ask you to develop graphical abstracts. So one caveat of using these tools to produce images are that sometimes the labels are wrong. So you might need to import them into a tool like Canva and edit the text, and then probably draw them from your own end. And now it's creating that. So now you can see that the first one is absolutely wrong. This is not correct. It should be internal structural evolution, and this should be overburden, not overbedding pressure. Well, it's more or less looking like a block, so a block that is highly deformed and with some kind of tooling and showing the compaction trend, and it has done that quite not so bad. So what you can do is that you can prompt, say these spellings are wrong, and then you now a bit rude to ChatGPT, say make the image figure diagram panoramic and in 3D. We do that. So it's going to check the spellings again, and most likely it's going to return wrong spellings also, but that doesn't really matter. But you can edit that in other tools yourself. So we are going to do another one and try to create a graphical abstract for a text, another text that I have, or a workflow chart. So I'll copy that. Those are already labeled, and I'm going to show you what the text looks like. So the text says, in this study, which is more or less like the method, we use 3D seismic to investigate the internal deformational styles, origin and emplacement processes of this mega class within MTD2. To achieve this aim, we analyze their geometry, scale, distribution, and so we're going to make this into a flowchart, and we ask ChatGPT to make it into a flowchart. So it's creating that image, and after that, we are also going to use it to create what I call a graphical abstract. So we have a text, and we summarize it, and we ask it to make a graphical abstract of that text. Okay, so let's copy the first one, the next one, and then we see the image that it has produced. So now the spellings are getting better. Overburden and compaction, still effect is wrong. Type 2 depression, development, slow sliding, short distance travel, emplacement of megaclast, hemipelagic sediment, debris flow. This is very, very beautiful. Very beautiful, but not correct. So you have to use this to rebuild your own conceptual model. It has given you an idea of that. Now let's do the next one. We want an infographics, right? So I would just say create a detailed infographic or workflow diagram for the following text. Right? And then we'll hit enter, and it's going to create an infographics, which is more or less like if you want to people to be able to reproduce your methods, they are always better shown using infographics, because people can look at them at once and easily flow and understand what you have done in the work. So I always encourage, when you want to depict your methodology to people, especially in conferences, then you have to develop infographics. And then the third one is we want to create graphical abstract. So first we need to look at the text. We create an abstract from the text, and then we ask it to make a graphical abstract for that. Image creating is taking a moment, so we paste the text. While that is doing, we say make a detailed words scientific and academic abstract from the text below. So while that is doing, before we hit the enter key, you see that this has been turned into a very simple infographics, and it depends on the number of things that you have. You can even bring in icons if you ask it to do that. Include icons, do this and do that. So let's make an abstract first, and then it's going to write an abstract for that. And then while doing that, turn this into a detailed scientific graphical abstract. And then it's going to make that a graphical abstract that can be added into your work. So the aim of today is to show you that you can reduce the stress of developing or thinking about your conceptual model once you can list them out. We already demonstrated that with the first example, and then you can fine-tune whatever image is given to you. For example, here you got a two-dimensional image, which is 2D in nature, but later on you ask it to expand and draw it in a panoramic view, and also correct some of the spellings. We've done that, and you can continue fine-tuning, even specifying colors, size, directions, scales, and so on and so forth. It depends on you what you want to add to that. And following up with that, it's always good to demonstrate your methodology using infographics. So you can use infographics to describe your methodology, and you can also develop what they call graphical abstract from text that you generate. And now this is generating a reasonable one, and the text of course is not correct. It's your duty to correct that. And what it has done is that based on this analysis, we interpreted mass transport deposit from New Zealand. We investigated 123 of them, blocks within these mass transport deposits, or what we call submarine landslides. And then we made a new classification based on the formation styles and based on the emplacement mechanisms into two different parts. And that is what has been done. See, this is amazing. So all you need to do is just make a class, an example seismic beneath, and then you have the descriptions are definitely going to be wrong because it's going to struggle with the text, but you can come on to edit the text later on, and also show you the study area where that has been done. In summary, ChatGPT can help you develop conceptual models that are good, infographics that are good, schematic representation of your work, what you need to do is you copy in your aims, objectives if you don't have the text yet, and then you list out what the model is all about, and then you ask it to generate them, fine-tuning them into what you really like, using colors and all kind of extra things with it. Whatever idea you get can be modified further using tools like Canva, like Adobe Illustrator, or even Photoshop and CorelDRAW. Thank you once again for coming. See you in the next video. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like, share with your friends, and also comment for more content to come.